I said hello, but it didn't start. Hello. Hello again. Hello, hello, hello. The color of my face keeps changing. I don't know what's going on. I cut all my hair off for the wedding, or 8 inches. Do I like it? Not really, but whatever. My hair grows super fast. I'm sure it'll be back real soon. Let's talk about parts and pieces of things that are in the news and how they're not connecting the dots and putting those dots in the news. As I keep telling you, my friends, there's no talking across the table. We're in when we are in the midst of military action. Can you see the justice card behind me over here? Whoops, wrong way. I always forget it's backwards. Over here is the justice card. How appropriate. Hello, welcome, and how are you? Nothing is restricted. I should probably cover up your comments. Oh, James, hello. I haven't seen you on my last couple videos. And my last couple of videos have all stopped at 76 views. Isn't that very interesting? Too bad it wasn't 77. Hello, Jared. How are you? So perhaps I've said a few things and struck a few chords. I'm sure that you know I have. I got some very interesting message that came to me today, and the way these things are being held back now, I'm kind of thinking doesn't really matter what I do or what I say here, whether I leave it open for anyone to comment or not. So let's talk about the parts and pieces of three-dimensional physical reality that are popping up on your screen, on social media, um, in the news cycle, perhaps. And let's do a little dot connecting. As a Scorpio, it's probably my favorite pastime. However, I was not expecting what I got today. Yes, I agree. The sun has definitely been feeling differently. Um, we had rain for 7 days, which is nothing compared to what the rest of the world has been having at the moment. Um, we've been extremely lucky, but we did have 7 days of rain where it looked like 5 o'clock all day, every day for 7 days. And we were in a drought and had no rain for 2 months. So we really, really desperately needed not only the all day, all night rain, we also needed the darkness. So the plants and the insects and all the animals would have some time to recoup and heal from the extreme drought that we were in here in Ohio. Hello and welcome to whomever is here. Hopefully you watched that last video. I don't know what's going on. As I mentioned prior, I was like 800 to 1,500 people per video. Now every video stops at 76. I can guess it's probably connected to the information that I have been sharing with you. Um, so we're going to do some dot connecting from parts and pieces of things that are currently in your news cycle. And one of those things is, of course, P. Diddy, who is very, very, very connected to, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name now, one of the biggest music icons of our time, and I cannot think of his name. He is directly connected to P. Diddy. Oh my gosh, what is his name? If anyone can remember, uh, let me know. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name now. God, I know this man. Anyway, P. Diddy was also having a relationship with the biggest man in the music business. Justin Bieber said, I went to a Diddy party and I only did it for the Ferrari. Now I'm so lonely. That's chilling. But actually, no, thanks for playing. It wasn't Justin Bieber. It was not, even though I just sang you. I don't know if that's his latest song, but that came up in my feed and that kind of gave me the chills. I did it. I went to a Diddy party and I did it all for the Ferrari. And I'm so lonely. Very interesting. Well, you obviously know he's not truly talking about lonely because he's been married for, I don't know, a while and now has a baby as well. So I don't think he's referring to that kind of loneliness. I would think he's probably referring to the fact that he is ready and wanting to talk about the stuff with P. Diddy, and maybe he feels alone in that, like other people don't want to talk about it or don't want to hear about it. Um, don't believe it, perhaps, whatever the case may be. So thanks for playing, Celia, but it is not Justin Bieber. And I cannot believe I was just on the phone with Dawn, and Dawn told me, she's like, yeah, I know him too. And I cannot believe that I cannot think of his name. Um, Either way, P. Diddy, as a Puff Daddy and however other many names he's had since the late 80s, I guess early 90s. He's been involved with so many people in the music industry, but also in ways you can't even imagine. And this video is not going to be about Puff Daddy or P. Diddy, um, or whatever name he has gone by, or whatever you would like to call him. It's not, but I'm telling you about P. Diddy, and I'm sure you know, even if you're hiding out, meditating in hermit mode, I'm sure you still know that P. Diddy was raided. I want to say it was April or May, sometime in the spring, by the feds. And I believe he was indicted. I don't know when he was indicted, but he was raided by the feds in April or May and is now in jail, as I believe it was about a week or two ago that he got arrested. As you know, I'm not in the news cycle, so I kind of hear these things um, after the fact. However, P. Diddy is at the top of the food chain when it comes to this, and his involvement with, I swear, I can't believe that I cannot think of this guy's name, this producer that he's involved with. He's literally the biggest producer, the biggest backer of not only this behavior, but of the music industry itself. I cannot believe his name is eluding me at the moment. But I guess it is what it is, and we must carry on. P. Diddy is involved in, I'm sure, the drug trafficking end of it, the child trafficking end of it, the pornography end of it, the pedophilia end of it, all of it. And because he was world famous thrower of drug orgy type of parties, you can imagine that he's going to be talking, and he's already bragging about how he can't wait to tell the world, his side of the story. And I'm sure he wants to. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Clive Davis. Yes. So he was having a physical relationship, not just a working relationship, but a physical relationship, according to some sources, with Clive Davis. Thank you, Barbara Brewer. I just saw that you commented on my Facebook. That just popped up as well. I went over to Facebook to make a quick announcement that I was coming here. Yes. So P. Diddy was carrying on with the biggest name in showbiz, right, and the music industry, Clive Davis, not only contractually, but physically. Okay. So P. Diddy, of course, is saying he's ready, willing, and anxious to talk. The question is, will he get a chance to, or will like Jeffrey Epstein, will he pass or be put in witness protection so that he can bring down the house of cards? Either way, P. Diddy and the connection to the music industry in Hollywood is going to bring down the house of cards. Any way you look at that, it's really just a matter of how it's going to happen. Now, since he's in jail and saying that he's ready and willing to talk, there is a great possibility that he will either be suicided in jail or be put into the witness protection program like Jeffrey Epstein, um, and brought out for trial later. We will see. But it's a big house of cards. And if anyone's really paying attention to all the crap we were reading about and hearing about from Q and all kinds of other channels throughout 2017 and 18, all of the things that have been talked about in that time, on all the different platforms, Twitter and some of the more underground ones as well, are coming out to the public, right? So not just you and I, the people that were aware of it some time ago, it's coming out, and now coming out to the public. It's going to be coming out in a very big and very mainstream way, as we knew was going to happen. I know myself and many others of us probably have given up on this. If you've been a person that's been around this information since 2005, I had talked about briefly a couple of videos ago about how my mom was listening to tapes, and I do literally mean cassette tapes, and the man on the tape was talking about how Star Wars government project was selling both the drugs and weapons on the black market to pay for other things. So for me, I've known about some of this stuff since I was about 12. So if you ever wonder why I've dropped out of paying attention to all of it, is because I feel like the unicorn on Christmas that was promised to me for the last 3 decades has still not shown up. And at some point, you lose faith and hope that that will ever happen. P. Diddy is the house of cards that we know that's going to fall. And these things, of course, are all connected. I was hoping to give people a chance to show up before I started talking about the real reason I'm here. And that, of course, is not Puff Daddy Combs or P. Diddy or whatever else he has gone by in the past. So thank you, first of all, for being here. And hopefully we can share this, whether that's sharing some of this word of mouth or however you see fit to share this. I was tempted and have been tempted. I know I had mentioned before that when I go live on my computer, it's so much easier for me. It's so much like less work that I have to do later, but to use my phone seems to be the only way where I could ever rack up 50 or 80 viewers watching even for a short time, which means this video is going to get in circulation. This is so important. And the reason it's so important, as so many people are having a hard time with the information that's going around, and so many people are having a hard time, feeling safe. Dock workers said they heard sounds coming from inside cargo containers at times. Yes, and that's interesting that you bring that up, because that's one of the only pieces of news I heard. I think I read that from somebody on Facebook last week, and that was only because I had an ad out for wedding flowers, and I went to check on my ad, and I actually saw that, and I saw the storm that was going on in North Carolina, and I did not know about either one of those things. Unless you're bringing it to my attention or sharing it with me, I'm completely unaware of it unless something comes through higher self, which is what happened today. And James, you guessed it, you know, as we are all very connected here, that's what this conversation is really going to be about. Now, when I get a military type of message, it is usually within a matter of seconds. I was told that, oh, I didn't know about Amazon. And we're going to see what's going to happen. The reason I'm here today is, I have mentioned this, but I'll mention it again. When I get a military style message, it is usually a physical sign or a couple of words or something that lasts less than 30 seconds. I was told if it's 30 seconds or longer, my location has been pinged, and I certainly don't need that, though I'm sure that both sides are completely and totally aware of my location at this point, and I'm guessing that's why 76 people have seen the last couple of videos instead of 1,000. So the message I got this morning while walking barefooted was Air Force. Okay, that was it. Air Force. So today, Dawn called and we were chatting about everything from my mom to the resurgence of Q and other underground messages from 2017 being brought out, but this time going past just you and I and heading out into the mainstream knowledge and awareness. And that's what's happening. And further down into the conversation, she said something and it just ticked something off on me. And I said, hold on, let me go over to my computer, because I was talking to her on the phone and not Messenger, which is unusual, and look something up. Let's talk about the possibility of military action, which was what my video was about last time, if you haven't seen it. 10/23, Shannon asked me to pull some cards on that date, and I got movement by ground, movement by water, movement by air, and all of a sudden I got full body chills, and I knew that we were talking about military action. There can never be enough water when I am making a video. Jared says Amazon too, but I don't know what you mean by Amazon too. Oh, you're saying Amazon also heard sounds. So maybe you're saying maybe they're aware of trafficking too at Amazon. Oh, Amazon striking. Interesting. Very interesting. So this morning when I got the message, I'm going to try not to look at the comments so I can deliver whatever needs to come through. We have to look at it in a non-conventional way, and I can say it a million times, but people see certain stories and they get freaked out, or they don't feel safe, or they're worried about food, or worried about things being goods being transferred, all of those things. So here's the deal. This morning I got the message about the Air Force, and I'm thinking, what about the Air Force? And then when I started talking to Dawn, I had said to her, you know, this port strike is all the way from Maine down to Texas. That's very interesting. And the message I got this morning when walking was just simply 2 words: Air Force. So when I was talking to Dawn, I had a hit and I looked up just East Coast military bases. Now, when I Googled East Coast military bases, what came up was Air Force. And that's exactly, I suppose, what I was prompting myself to look at. I had said in the last video, I pulled some cards: movement by land, movement by water, movement by air. Whole body chills told me, everything in my existence told me, this is a military action. So those people around you, or maybe you yourself, when you're feeling unsure about what's going on or what's happening, and you're getting a story, whether that's regular social media, whether that's the mainstream media, underground media, wherever you're getting, only parts and pieces of that are going to be the truth, because we are in the middle of a military operation, and we are in the middle of a war, okay? Perhaps a different kind of war, more a spiritual war, and all of that. Okay, so when I Googled specifically East Coast military, what came up was, it said in all big letters, Air Force, and then what I saw was the Air Force and the military installations, or the military places there, were the exact same location as the strike. You heard that right. If you were to juxtaposition or superimpose the military bases with the closing or port strikes, you would see that those are an identical match, except for when I Googled it, it doesn't tell me that there is military in Maine. So I'm not sure. Hello, Matthew. I'm not sure if that means there really is no military in Maine, or perhaps it just didn't come up. If you superimpose a military map of our East Coast with a map of this port strike, they, my friends, are identical. Now, what I also find very interesting is this. When I Googled East Coast military, it has, oh gosh, Maine all the way down to the East Coast of Florida. But wait, it goes further than that. East Coast military bases, Air Force bases, when I look, go all the way from Maine down to Florida, but then they also go to Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas. It's the exact same route of the port strike, you guys. So what's going on here, right? Is this really over? Getting a 77% increase? I talked all about the 77 in the video I made. Was that yesterday, the day before? There are 4 or 5 or 6 different places where Russian missiles have been taken out since September 7th until the end of September. 77 tons of Korean missiles are gone. They have been bombed. 77 tons of Korean missiles are gone. These port workers are asking for a 77% increase in wages. If you think there's not, that the numbers aren't telling you something, you guys look up what 7 means, or 777, or 77, or 007. That's me. Just kidding. But look that up. Now, once I am prompted to look something up, which I so rarely do, it always leads down a rabbit hole of other things to look up. So I find it very interesting that when I look today to see, is the strike actually happening? Because they said that they were giving it till midnight on September 30th, right? So as of August, I'm going backwards. I'm turning back time like Cher. I'm sorry. Let's go forwards, not backwards, Tina. That if something wasn't resolved by midnight, meaning 12:01 would be October 1st, then the strike was going to commence. I was looking today to see, have they come to any kind of compromise or resolution with this strike, or are we still going to have it? And I found the answer nowhere. And if you haven't watched the last video, please watch that. We haven't had a port strike since 1977. 77 tons of Korean missiles are gone. They won a 77% increase for these port workers, and we haven't had a union strike since 1977. This is telling you something. For my own, I just got the full body chills. Safety reasons. I cannot tell you all of it. Please look up 77. Okay. There's a lot of things going on. There are a lot of astrological things that are going on. We had a partial lunar eclipse, solar eclipse. We have a second moon from September 29th to November 25th-ish, which is not even a moon. It's actually an asteroid. There's a whole story behind that, what's going on with that. Some people are referring to this asteroid or this quote unquote second moon as Lilith. Who is Lilith? Okay. Who kept saying things were going to be biblical? You have to read between the lines sometimes when you're talking about numbers and dates and things that are going to happen. Lilith, if you're not familiar in biblical terms, was the original divine feminine who wanted everything to be balanced, equal, reciprocity. How appropriate. We have the justice card right there behind me. I don't know if you guys can see this right here. Okay, that's what the original divine feminine wanted. And Adam wasn't having any of it. And yes, it's a story. And yes, things are not always true. And yes, a million things have been omitted from biblical tales. Okay. The original divine feminine wanted things to be balanced and fair and transparent and judicially equal. And Adam wasn't having any of it. So he replaced her with someone who would be complacent and compliant. So there you go. And this second moon, that's really an asteroid, that's not really a moon, has been named Lilith. So you can look into that in any direction you want to. If you are going to superimpose or juxtaposition the map of the military all the way from Maine down to Texas, you will see that they are exactly the same as the port shutdown. That has to get you thinking what's really being planned, or perhaps are there things that they don't want dock workers to see? I'll take it even further than that and say that the military itself, probably all branches of the military, will be manning from Maine all the way to Texas to make sure things run smoothly. I'm not going to be any more elaborate on that than that. What I also found interesting was, after looking up the East Coast military bases and telling you what I've just told you, I looked up the Southern military, and I got the exact same map, except for there was one like a location in California, but it was this exact same thing. Georgia, Florida, Louisiana, and it also stopped at Texas with the exception of California. So no matter who you're getting your news from, you have to realize that they're telling you a partial truth, that yes, perhaps the ports are shut down, or maybe they're not all the way shut down, but I believe those ports from Maine to Texas will be manned by the actual military, and not dock workers, perhaps, that would get in the way. Also interesting, I talked about this in the last video as well. The other demand besides the 77% increase in salary from the dock workers union was that cranes, gates, and shipping containers be manned by actual people and not artificial intelligence. And you have to wonder and think back to what I said earlier, and P. Diddy and all these things that are connected. Yes, James, I totally agree with you. The changing how the ports will operate, Navy and coastline. Like I said, this is military action. And if you didn't watch the last video I made, I did talk about this being on land, over water, and the air. So yes, James, you are talking about the Coast Guard. You're talking about the Navy SEALs, the Marines. You're talking about the Army. You're talking about all of it. My family was not involved in the military, so I don't know. I don't have much information on that. I'm just telling you what is coming through. Sometimes when I read a story, I can read a story and tell you what parts of that story are true, what are not. I can be reading something and a word will literally jump out of the page or be highlighted so that I get that what in the thing that I'm reading, there is, even if it's not all the truth, there is one important thing, and here it is in neon lights for you to see. The other thing that's going to happen, and I know we've heard this from many people, and we expected this to happen some time ago, is you can bet your ass that there's going to be a social media, radio, television blackout. Okay, so I'm a teeny little channel. I have not been able to sit through the David Wilcock videos recently. I went to his last videos. I can't remember the name of that. I just sent it to Dawn. Something, basically the shoe's about to drop, right? The shit's about to hit the fan. That was not the title. I'm shortening it and I'm paraphrasing. We know he likes to go on for 4 hours. I didn't want to sit through it, and I fast forwarded to the last 40 minutes of it. And it was a regurgitation of all these posts from Q and all these other underground places talking about the things we thought that were going to happen in 17, 18, and 19 happening right now. If you haven't seen that and you need a little catch up or a little memory recall from what happened 7 and 8 years ago, you can go to the last David Wilcock video on YouTube and just scroll back to it's 4 hours and 22 minutes or something. I watched like the last 40 minutes to an hour. Okay. So he's a big channel, right? Monkey Works is tracking planes all over the planet. And he's not just tracking, Delta Airlines or United Airlines. He is telling you the things that are the uncharted or unlisted, if that's the right terminology, flights and all the movement that's going on with planes that you can't see anywhere else. Okay, so you've got so many people all over the planet doing it, and I don't stop doing it, even though this is a small channel. And though we heard a long time ago that there would be a blackout, we're not talking about losing the power to your home or to your car. What we're talking about is you and I not being able to talk across the table or the cell phone or social media or a Facebook Messenger or Twitch or all of these places, right? So I came here to do a job. This is a mission. That's interesting because right after I got the Air Force message this morning, I was walking and I started talking to a guy I've never seen him before, but they've been working on this house on the corner now, oh my gosh, for 5 or 6 months. And all I kept thinking is, I heard what he was saying, but all I kept noticing was he had a black hat with like a mountain on it. And on the top of the brim of his hat, real big, it said just the word mission, Air Force, and mission. But you and I, the small channels, the small bloggers, the small Facebook posters, know we came here to do something. We have people that have millions of viewers. They came here to do something. Now, how do you think this military action is going to go down, especially if they've got military on the East Coast, completely on the East Coast and the South Coast? I'm sure they'll have a reason to put it on the West Coast next. Mark my words on that one. Whether it's a strike or, I don't want to put negative, bad scenarios on there, but there will be a reason to have some issue on the West Coast as well. I can guarantee it. Okay, so everybody wants to do their job. I want to do my job. David Wilcock wants to do his job. Russell Brand wants to do his job. Monkey Works wants to do his job. Everybody wants to do their job. Well, when the actual military action, it's been going on for decades and it's amped up in the last 3 years. There's no doubt about it. But when it comes time to pulling off the mission, we're referring to the reason we'd be shutting these docks. There's going to be a blackout. There's not going to be a way for David Wilcock or me or Monkey Works or anyone else to tell you where the planes are going and what the message was from Higher Self today, or what the reiteration is from 2017 for what is about to happen. But rest assured, it is about to happen. Oh, hello, Judy. You haven't been here on my YouTube channel for a long time. Oh, hello, Susan Ferguson, aka Queen Star Sophia. How are you? All right, I think this is about it. Everybody is here to do a job. We like to call that mission sometimes. You can call it whatever you want to. There will be a brief period where your communication only is interrupted for the very reason of me making videos or anybody else making videos to discuss military action or uncharted flight paths or anything else that is going on right now. So don't get too bent out of shape or freaked out about the crazy things you may be seeing in the media. If you only listen to the first 30 seconds of a story or a minute of a video, that is where, or even in, the first 3 sentences of an article, that is where the truth always is. And there is always a twist or a bend so that you don't know what's really going on. But the truth of the information, when it's coming from mainstream media, is always going to be in the first couple sentences or the first minute or 2 of the video. After that, they're going to have, I talked about this in the last video as well. Port strike, is there one? Is there going to be one? Yes. Or we're going to be under the guise that there is one. That part is true. Everything else they're telling you is absolute nonsense. So perhaps if you just do the first couple sentences or the first couple minutes of the media, you'll be close to having the right answer there. Okay. This is a time, energetically, it's been a time, as we know, those who feel the energy before it manifests into a 3D physical reality, know that this is the time for the breakthrough. This is the time for peace. This is the time to restart everything. The way the world works, the way Big Pharma works, the way Big Agro works, the way the music industry works, all of it. It's time for a restart. It's time for a 0 point. It's time for a breakthrough in truth. It's a time of collaboration and celebration. And remember, you'll know when you cannot get on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, or I guess it's called X now, or Rumble or Twitch or any of the other tons of platforms that I don't even know exist. If you can't get on there and there's a blackout, that'll be your final clue, Nancy Drew, that we are in the middle of a military action. Thank you for being here. And until next time, bye-bye.